Hello everyone, welcome to a new video for Virtuals Tao and AI16 price prediction based on Elliott wave analysis. We're gonna start with Virtuals here, starting on the daily where we have 1, 2, 3, wave 4 and wave 5 looking for higher potentially still after having here a 1, 2 and we're looking at the 0.38 fib level hit. Now basically internally on Virtual the things start to look a little bit hard to continue toward the upside and the things might turn a little bit corrective here where we're gonna see it of course on the lower time frame where we might get of course a little bit lower for Virtuals since we have a huge capacity here for a wave 2 in a wave B as well in a potential of course ABC in case this impulse will transform to a zigzag. However, the trend is still, of course, toward the upside. It doesn't mean that we cannot move a little bit lower for a bigger correction. 3 ways down, 3 ways up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then moving again toward the upside after this one more move for lower. Let's move inside it on the 2 hours chart, of course, and see what is going on and why this weakness is appearing here. Because of course, first we have this move toward the upside, which it's looking at, looks like 3 waves. Now we can count a 1, 2, 3, 4 and a 5 somewhere here, 4 and a 5, finishing wave 1 or a wave A. We don't want to forget a wave A or a wave W, where you might have, of course, an A, also a B and a C toward the upside, right? So this is a scenario that we have to keep it as well in mind, despite, of course, the moves here for a little bit higher prices. So basically, if you have a wave 2, you have potentially here another wave 1, but again, it looks somehow as 3 waves, and the weakness starts already from there, followed by another trend towards the downside, taking the 886 almost, followed by another, of course, impulse, which it might be here one single regular flat, I would say, finished, right? So if this is a single regular flat, you can count this, of course, an A, B, and a C here for a wave 2, of course, where you might have this potential wave 2 as an impulse, and it can be, of course, the wave B, right? The wave X, of course, can be either here or here, it doesn't matter. It can be also there, but it is, of course, here that recommended one more high, right? So you would like to see at least a zigzag in case that the X is here. In case the X is over there, therefore you have to consider that you might have finished, of course, here kind of like finished W, X, and a Y. Or even it can be even a normal regular flat where you have an A, you have the wave B, and then you have the wave C towards the upside. Therefore, if you let's keep the X here in case that we still have a Y, potentially as a zigzag here can be an option. All right. So basically, we still, of course, have this potential one more move, of course, for higher in a wave Y can be possible after this impulse correction, potentially hitting the 1-to-1 fib level so far, knowing that this is, of course, an impulse, but the wave here is totally corrective, right? I would say 3 waves down, A, B, C, or W, X, and a Y for wave B, and then having an impulse to finish a wave C, 1-to-1 fib level. Potentially, you can still get one more leg toward the upside. We don't forget as well that if your wave 2 is over there, you might still get, of course, an opportunity for 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 that it still can be unfold toward the upside. All right, so we still also have this opportunity. It's not yet done and finished. This is a full impulse. This is a full correction, perfect area for wave 2. So the opportunity is still there. And also this is a wave 1. And also you can consider this as an A, B, and a C toward the downside, wave 2. Therefore, double 1, 2 are still there, guys. Are we gonna launch a new wave 3? Nobody knows. It can be, of course, a possibility. But, of course, to get some key level for this, you know, on this channel, always 5 ways up, 3 ways down, continuation, breaking the wave 1, confirmation of bull run, or at least 1-to-1 fib level, right? To be tested in the next step. But you know that from this level to there, you have higher prices and higher probability, right? So the same applies here. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got the 3 ways down. We would like to see, of course, this high broken. Now, here, the problem is that you have to test the 1-to-1 fib level from there. And if we break it, therefore it is much bigger confirmation that, okay, the wave 3 is unfolding, you broke the wave Y, you're moving for a wave 3 toward the 1.618 next target. This is gonna be the key level again. Yep, so that was it for virtual. Let's see Tao. What is Tao doing on the 2 hours chart as well? So on the 2 hours chart, Tao, we saw, of course, this move, impulsive move, probably here for wave 1 or wave A. Now we saw, of course, a very long sideways range, which is look like a perfect triangle as an A, B, C, D, and an E, and moving toward the upside. Now the remarkable thing is that your wave C is looking like very bigger than any other shape here, giving a higher possibility as well for W, having W, X, and your wave Y is a triangle, opening the opportunity to have a wave 2, because of course wave 2 is not allowed to be a triangle. But because of this additional wave here, it gives us, of course, the probability to have, of course, a triangle as a wave Y, W, X, and Y, which is allowed for a wave 2. Starting the impulse toward the upside. Double 1, 2, wave 3, 4, 5, 4, and a 5. Currently, we are finishing up a 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5 toward the upside. Inside the blue box, well, as expected for Tao, actually, Tao shows some power here, right? Is not very weak, and this is what I was expecting actually for all the altcoins. But basically, Tao and Sui are the most performer in the altcoins right now. We saw, of course, a very high movements for both, and we still see, of course, that they are still continuing this bull run. Now, Tao is looking for a wave 3 in the blue box, very close to the 1.27 already taken. You still need, of course, one more leg to finish this wave 3 and then proceeding for a wave 4. Now, because your wave 2 is very long in time and very sideways, we have to be careful. We might get, of course, a very deep wave 4, right? And it can be also a little bit longer in time. But we have to keep in mind, if this happens and we get, of course, invalidation of bullish, so because it might be very sharp, we have to be careful, right? So this is your invalidation for the bullish scenario. Turning it, of course, here, where we don't want to forget never, of course, that this might be an ABC, right? So don't forget that this also can be an A, B, and a C. Turning it into 3 ways down, 3 ways corrective, and moving down, of course, for lower prices. What does it mean on the daily lower prices in this case scenario? In this case, on the daily, you are looking at a wave 1 or a wave A as an impulse, followed by a probability here as of course correction. You got wave 1, 2, and we're looking for higher. What if, the question mark right now, what if we get lower here and we move for one more low as an A, B, C, D, and an E, and then start to move toward the upside? And by the way, if you are in a 1, 2 and another 1, 2, this will be the same result. What if probably we get a bigger ABC wave 2 here, bringing us inside this green box, and then start the move towards the upside one more time again? What if? Unless, of course, we're gonna see only once we break, of course, this invalidation level. If we dive deeper, therefore we start to think about it. If not, we are still bullish, guys. Next is AI16. For AI16 on the 2 hours chart, we are looking at the following scenarios. So basically, on the 2 hour chart for the bullish here, you have several 1, 2s, right? So we start to see 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and another 1, 2, 3, 4, and a 5. Now this has worked perfectly. Currently, you might be in a wave 4 in the orange scenario, 1, 2, and then you're looking for a wave 3, already took the high a little bit impulsively. And currently, you're looking at a wave 4. Now, this wave 4 is looking a little bit impulsive again, but it can be, this one looks also diagonal, but internally can be, of course, a little bit noisy here. And, of course, turning to something corrective. Of course, we would like to see one more wave toward the upside, right? One more wave, 5, for a little bit higher prices can be very possible. But you have to keep in mind, of course, this wave C is higher, by the way. You have to keep in mind that this might finish up, of course, a W, X, and a Y, where you have here 3 waves for W, you have an X, and you might have your wave Y zigzag towards the upside. Another alternative scenario that we might have also is, of course, a big wave 1, 2 here as diagonal. And you have the same wave 3 right now looking for higher. So you finished here a 1, 2, 3, I would say 3, 4, 5, wave 3, wave 4 right now, wave 5. So almost the same count because they are the same impulses, by the way, but different main wave 1, which is a leading diagonal, 1, 2. You're looking here still, of course, for formation of this wave 3, right? You're looking at 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, and then you can count that a wave 3 in the white scenario is done, all right? Then you are looking still for wave 4 and a 5. Of course, you don't want to see invalidation during that step. Basically, we're still bullish for, of course, AI16 can be very bullish, but of course we have to be careful again from the W, X, and a Y that we saw in this scenario here. All right. If this happens and we move down, of course, you have to consider something else on the daily, which is the following. On the daily, you are in an impulse towards the upside wave A or wave 1, followed by ABC towards the downside wave B or wave 2. After this, you are looking at a wave 1, 2, and you're looking for 3, 4, 5 towards the upside, right? If in case we get one more high and this turns to something corrective, what it might be the case scenario? Well, there is several options here, of course. It might be that, of course, you invalidate this impulse, which is not nice to see. But it might be something, before doing this, it might be something else, which is the following. What if you are in a triangle as well for AI16 and you're still looking, of course, for higher after it, right? But in this case scenario, anyway, you have to consider that this is something corrective, which is a little bit far possibility for me yet. Therefore, honestly, I still see, of course, a higher probability to move for higher for AI16 as, of course, 1, 2, and then 3, 4, 5. But yeah, if the things turns corrective, it might range simply back to this area. If we take the 886, maybe it might turn in something like diagonal for later on. Or, of course, if we break the low, yeah, that is the worst case scenario, which is, of course, a big A, B, and a C, which is, of course, risky, but yeah, very worst case scenario, and still too early to call it, of course, guys. You need to break the triangle first, take the low and 886, and then, okay, we start to call something much more lower, right? Yep, so that was it for virtuals, Tao and AI16, guys. Thank you for watching. Thank you for your likes and comments. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.